If you are here right now, listening to these words, it isn't random. Out of billions of videos, countless choices you could have made, you landed here. That's synchronicity at work. Synchronicity is not coincidence, it is confirmation. It is the mirror of reality aligning to show you that something inside you is already vibrating at the frequency of the message you are hearing. You did not stumble into this by mistake. You were guided, drawn, magnetized by a part of you that already knows where you are headed. Think about how often we dismiss small alignments in our lives. You think of a person, and they call. You wonder about an answer, and it shows up in a book or a conversation. These are not meaningless quirks. They are reflections, the external world adjusting itself to match the internal frequency you are carrying. Synchronicity is the language of the quantum field. It is how your higher self, your expanded self, communicates with you. It doesn't shout, it doesn't command, it reflects. And when you notice, when you pause long enough to see the timing of events lining up, you realize that you are not moving blindly through chaos. You are in a dialogue with reality. The fact that you pressed play on this message right now is proof of that dialogue. Somewhere inside you, whether consciously or unconsciously, you have been asking, reaching, seeking clarity. You have been aligning with the version of yourself who already knows how to live differently. And this moment is the answer to that call. You are not being introduced to something foreign. You are being reminded of something you already knew. The resonance you feel as you listen isn't persuasion. It's recognition. Imagine yourself as a radio receiver. Every station is already broadcasting at the same time, but the one you hear depends on the frequency you tune into. The version of you who struggles is a station. The version of you who thrives is another. The version of you who has already achieved what you long for is broadcasting right now, and synchronicity is the signal that you've begun to tune into it. The static is clearing, and you are beginning to hear the music of your desired self. This is why moments like this carry such weight. They are not just about information, they are about confirmation. They show you that you are closer than you think. They remind you that the life you imagine is not in the distance. It already exists in the field of infinite versions of you. And the reason you are here is because a part of you has finally resonated with it strongly enough for the mirror of reality to guide you here. So as you listen, don't treat this as entertainment or as chance. Treat it as a message from the version of you who is already living the reality you desire. That self is calling you forward, using synchronicity as the bridge. The question is not whether the path exists. The question is whether you are ready to walk it, moment by moment, choice by choice, into the reflection of the self you came here to become. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are living one version of yourself. But this version is not the only one. Every possibility, every path you could take, every choice you might make already exists as a fully realized version of you in parallel realities. There is a version of you who took the risks you've been hesitating to take. There is a version of you who stayed safe, who hid from change. There is a version of you who is thriving in ways you've only dreamed about, and another who never gave themselves the chance. None of these are fantasies. They are all equally real, equally alive, coexisting in the quantum field right now. You don't have to invent these selves or build them from scratch. They are not waiting to be created. They are waiting to be chosen. Imagine standing in front of a hall of mirrors, each one reflecting a different possibility of who you are. Some reflections are familiar, some feel like strangers, and some make you pause because you recognize the version of yourself you most want to become. The reflections don't change. You do. The reflection you see most clearly depends on where you stand, on the frequency you carry, on the choices you embody. This is the heart of shifting realities. You don't force the external world to bend and twist itself into something new. You shift your state of being, and you align with the reality that already matches it. The new self you want to become isn't far away, waiting in some distant future. It is already fully alive in this infinite web of versions. The moment you match its vibration, you find yourself living in it, as naturally as taking a step from one room into another. It can be tempting to think of life as a single straight line, moving from past to present to future. But reality is not linear. It is layered. like countless film reels running side by side. Each reel is a version of your life playing out with perfect detail. When you shift your frequency, you don't drag the old reel into a new story. You simply pick up a different reel and step into it. From your perspective, the change feels like growth, like transformation. But in truth, you are just aligning with the version of you that was always waiting. This is why desire feels the way it does. When you long for something deeply, when you can imagine yourself living it so vividly that it feels more real than fantasy, it is because that version of you already exists. The desire is a signal from your quantum self, pulling you toward the mirror where that reflection shines. The fact that you can picture it at all means the frequency is accessible. So when you think of your dreams, stop asking if they are possible. They are already real, already alive, already being lived. The only question is whether you will align yourself with the version of you who is already standing inside them. The choice has always been yours, and it always will be. Beliefs are not just thoughts you hold in your mind. They are the invisible architecture of your reality. Every assumption you carry about who you are, what life is, and what is possible for you forms the framework through which you perceive and experience everything around you. Beliefs filter your vision, color your emotions, and shape the choices you think you have. They are the silent blueprints, constantly constructing the version of reality you step into moment by moment. When you believe that life is a struggle, the mirror of reality reflects situations that confirm the struggle. You overlook opportunities, interpret neutral events as obstacles, and unconsciously create conditions that justify your expectation. When you believe you are unworthy, you magnetize relationships and experiences that echo that unworthiness back to you. These beliefs become anchors, holding you to the version of yourself that matches them. The reflection is not punishing you, it is simply honest. It is showing you the building plan you handed to it. But the opposite is just as true. When you hold empowering beliefs, when you assume you are capable, loved, and supported, the mirror begins to construct a different reality around you. Possibilities appear where you once saw only walls. Synchronicities multiply. Confidence feels natural instead of forced. You begin to align with the version of yourself who already lives the life you dream about, because your belief system is the exact blueprint that self is using. You are not inventing a new life. You are shifting to the one that matches your chosen design. The challenge is that most of your beliefs are unconscious. They were absorbed from family, culture, or past experiences and taken as unquestioned truth. If you grew up hearing that money is scarce, you may live inside a financial reality that constantly mirrors scarcity. If you absorb the idea that love is conditional, you may unconsciously recreate relationships that keep proving it to you. These beliefs are not facts. They are choices you didn't realize you made, and the mirror reflects them until you see them clearly enough to choose again. Changing beliefs doesn't mean forcing yourself to think positive thoughts on the surface. It means digging into the foundation and asking, what am I assuming to be true about myself and my world? And does that assumption belong to the reality I want to live? The moment you recognize a limiting belief as just that, an assumption, not a fact, you loosen its hold. From there, you can replace it with a new blueprint, a belief that matches the parallel self who already lives the life you're reaching for. The truth is that you cannot outgrow your beliefs. You can only shift them. The structure you hold inside determines the world you walk through outside. When you choose beliefs that empower you, you align yourself with a version of reality that was always waiting. The mirror cannot resist. It simply builds from the design you hand it, and the blueprint is always yours to rewrite. Bro, who you believe yourself to be in this moment determines everything about the reality you experience. Identity is not just a label, not just a story you tell. It is the frequency you broadcast into the quantum field. And the mirror of reality always reflects that frequency back to you with perfect precision. Your beliefs set the structure, but your chosen identity is what animates that structure into a living vibration. It is the difference between holding blueprints in your hand and stepping fully into the house they describe. Every self you could ever be is already alive in parallel realities, but the one you experience is the one whose identity you are embodying right now. If you carry the belief structure of someone who doubts, who plays small, who hesitates, then the mirror must reflect circumstances that confirm that identity. If you choose the identity of someone confident, capable, and worthy, the mirror will rearrange to show you situations, opportunities, and relationships that validate that choice. The reflection is never random. It is a feedback loop, calibrating itself to the identity you are claiming with your vibration. Your vibration is not a mystical mystery. It is simply the emotional frequency generated by your beliefs and choices. When you believe you are limited, the frequency of fear, frustration, or resignation radiates outward. When you believe you are supported, the frequency of calm, gratitude, and trust radiates instead. The field doesn't care which you choose. It only amplifies what you send. Your state of being is your broadcast, and your identity is the station you are tuned to. This is why trying to manifest from a state of lack rarely works. If your identity is still rooted in the version of you who doesn't believe they can have what they want, no amount of external effort overrides that frequency. You might take action after action, but the mirror reflects back the identity you are actually inhabiting, not the one you are pretending to play with on the surface. To truly shift realities, you must step into the belief structure of the version of you who already lives there. Ask yourself, how would that self think? How would they move through the day? What choices would they make without hesitation? What would they no longer tolerate? This is not about faking or forcing. It's about aligning. You begin to adopt the patterns of that identity, and in doing so, you broadcast the frequency of the new you. The more consistently you hold it, the more inevitable the reflection becomes. Identity is the hinge between belief and experience. It is the moment when assumption becomes vibration, and vibration becomes reality. You do not need to wait to grow into a new self. You can decide, here and now, which identity you will carry. And the mirror, faithful as ever, will show you a world that matches. When your beliefs begin to shift, something remarkable happens in the fabric of your daily life. Patterns emerge, timing aligns, encounters feel too meaningful to dismiss as chance. These moments are synchronicities, and they serve as signals from the mirror of reality that your vibration is changing. They are not random accidents or lucky breaks. They are reflections, evidence that the frequency you are holding inside is resonating outward and drawing experiences to match. Think of synchronicity as the universe's way of winking at you. It is the bridge between your inner state and the external world, showing you that the alignment is real. When you meet someone who provides the exact answer you've been searching for, when a message appears at the perfect moment, when doors open with effortless timing, those events are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are the feedback loop of the mirror telling you, yes, you are in resonance with this version of yourself. Keep going. It's important to understand that synchronicities don't create the alignment, they reveal it. Just as a thermometer doesn't create the temperature but simply measures it, synchronicities measure the degree of harmony between your current identity and the parallel self you are stepping into. The more you embody the new belief structure, the more often these signals appear, until the extraordinary begins to feel ordinary and alignment becomes your natural state. Even being here, hearing these words, is synchronicity in action. Out of endless possibilities, you tuned into this message at this moment. That is not trivial. It is a reflection of your inner call, proof that some part of you is already resonating with the self who knows these truths. The fact that it resonates, that it feels like recognition instead of new information, is the signal itself. It means you've already begun to shift. When you notice synchronicities, the key is not to dismiss them or to obsess over them. Both reactions miss the point. They are not meant to be hoarded as trophies or treated as rare anomalies. They are meant to be read as signs. Each one is like a breadcrumb on the trail, showing you that you are moving in the right direction. When you treat them as guidance, you deepen the alignment. When you treat them as flukes, you weaken the signal. The beauty of synchronicity is that it grows louder the more you listen. At first, it may feel like subtle nudges, a chance encounter, a repeated number, a phrase you hear more than once. But as your belief system stabilizes and your identity locks into its new frequency, the signals become undeniable. The flow of life organizes around you, not because you are forcing it, but because the mirror must reflect the coherence you are holding. So let this moment remind you, you are not stumbling in the dark. The signals are everywhere, waiting for you to notice. Synchronicity is the language of alignment, proof that the self you desire is already broadcasting, already real, already pulling you closer with every step you take. Excitement is not just an emotion you feel when something interesting happens. It is a signal, a compass, a direct translation of your higher self into physical form. Once your beliefs have shifted and your identity is aligning with the parallel self you wish to embody, excitement becomes the navigational system that keeps you on track. It is not random. It is not trivial. It is guidance, as precise as a needle pointing north on a compass. Think about how you feel when something excites you. There is a spark of energy, a pull, a sense that time moves differently. That sensation is your body's way of telling you, this choice, this path, this moment is aligned with the frequency of the self you are becoming. Excitement is the bridge between the blueprint of your belief structure and the lived reality that reflects it. It is how your higher self communicates, not with words or commands, but with resonance. When you feel lit up, expanded, alive, you are receiving direct confirmation that the path before you matches the vibration of your chosen self. The mistake many people make is to dismiss excitement as impractical. They believe that following what excites them is irresponsible, that it won't lead anywhere solid. But the truth is the opposite. Excitement is the most reliable form of guidance you have. It does not just point you toward pleasure, it points you toward alignment. It shows you the path where your energy will be most supported, where the reflection in the mirror will most clearly affirm who you've chosen to be. When you ignore it, you cut yourself off from that guidance system. When you follow it, even in small ways, you discover that life begins to arrange itself around your choices with remarkable precision. It's important to understand that excitement is not always about grand gestures or massive leaps. It shows up in subtle ways. A conversation you feel drawn to have, a book that catches your attention, a project that lights you up even if it seems minor. Every spark is part of the compass. Following those small nudges builds momentum, and momentum opens doors you could never have predicted. The path of excitement is not about controlling the outcome. It's about trusting the navigation system moment by moment, step by step. When you align your beliefs with empowerment and choose the identity of the self who already thrives, excitement becomes the current that carries you forward. You don't have to push or force. You simply respond to the pull that feels most alive in the moment, knowing that this is how your higher self leads you. The reflection that returns is proof. Synchronicities multiply, opportunities flow, and challenges become stepping stones rather than barriers. So treat excitement as sacred. It is not indulgence, it is alignment. It is not distraction, it is direction. Every time you honor it, you declare to the mirror of reality, "This is who I am." And the mirror, faithful as always, will reflect a life that resonates with that truth. As you begin to shift into alignment with the version of yourself you most desire to become, something interesting happens. Old patterns start to resurface. Situations you thought you left behind reappear. People who once triggered you show up again. Challenges that feel eerily familiar knock at your door. In those moments, it's tempting to think you've failed, that nothing has really changed, that you've slipped backwards into the old reality. But these aren't setbacks. They are crossroads. They are the mirror asking you, will you react as the self you once were, or will you respond as the new self you are choosing to become? Imagine standing at a fork in the road. On one path lies the identity you have lived for years, with all its habits, fears, and limitations. On the other path lies the version of you you've been aligning with, the one whose beliefs are empowering, whose frequency resonates with joy and trust, whose actions flow from clarity. When the old pattern resurfaces, it is the moment where both paths are visible at once. Your choice is the act that stabilizes which road you will walk. These tests are not punishments. They are confirmations. They appear because you have shifted enough for them to be flushed out of your field. They are echoes, asking for closure. The mirror presents them not to trap you, but to allow you to consciously demonstrate that you are finished with that story. Each time you meet an old trigger and respond in a new way, you collapse the probability of the old self and reinforce the reality of the new one. The crossroads becomes the cement that solidifies your chosen timeline. This is why the intensity of these moments often feels so sharp. It's not because you are being dragged backward, it's because you are right at the threshold. The mirror magnifies the test because you are ready to pass it. The question is simple. Will you fall back into the reflexes of who you used to be, or will you act in alignment with the self you've already claimed? The decision is yours, and reality will reorganize instantly around whichever you choose. Think of it as a final rehearsal. Pilots train in simulators so that when turbulence comes, they already know how to stabilize the plane. Life gives you these crossroads as practice, so that when you step fully into your new reality, you can embody it with strength and coherence. The test isn't about passing or failing, it's about choosing. Each choice is a declaration to the mirror. This is the version of me I am now. So when old wounds reappear, don't be discouraged. Smile at the signal, recognize the crossroads, and then respond as the self you've been becoming. With every choice you make from that frequency, the reflection grows steadier, the old timeline fades, and the new one becomes your home. The version of you living your dream life is not some distant fantasy. It is not a goal to reach in 10 years or a reward you must earn through endless struggle. That version of you is already real. It already exists, fully formed, in the infinite field of parallel selves. Every choice you've ever made, every possibility you've ever imagined, is alive right now in another version of you. And the one who has already achieved what you long for is not waiting to be created. It is waiting for you to align. The very fact that you are here, listening to this message, is proof of that alignment beginning. Synchronicity guided you here. Out of every possible video, every possible moment in time, you are hearing these words. That is not coincidence. It is confirmation. It means the vibration of the self who already lives your dream reality is close enough to your current state that you could hear the signal. You are already bridging the gap. Your quantum self, the one who has already stepped into confidence, freedom, abundance, love, or whatever you've been seeking, has a message for you. And that message is simple. Live as if you are me right now. Don't wait for evidence before you believe. Don't wait for the mirror to change before you change your posture. Step into the identity first, carry the belief first, embody the frequency first. The reflection in the mirror cannot help but reorganize to match. Every moment you act as if you are already that self. You collapse the old timeline and stabilize the new one. The choices you make, the words you speak, the way you carry yourself, all of it is declaring to reality which version of you is active. When you hesitate, when you wait for proof, you keep projecting the frequency of the old self, and the mirror faithfully reflects it. When you commit, when you embody, when you say, I am already this version, reality bends without effort. This is not imagination, it is mechanics. The mirror has no choice but to reflect what you are being, and the fact that you resonate with this message means you are ready. The dream life you see is not a fantasy. It is a memory of your quantum self calling you forward. It is you reaching through synchronicity saying, step into me now. So let this be your reminder. You don't need to wait. You don't need to earn. You don't need to struggle to prove yourself worthy. The self you desire is already alive. The only step left is to embody it now. And when you do, when you begin living as that version in every small choice, you will discover that the mirror of reality is not resisting you. It is following you. It always has, and it always will. If you're ready to embody the new version you, let me know in the comments. How is that version of you living?